Welcome everyone to Hong Kong, where we have an important clash between Praggnanandhaa, who's playing for the team of Chess Gurukul, taking on Uzbekistan, and Uzbekistan's board 1 in the FIDE World Rapid Team Championships is none other than the World Championship challenger Javokhir Sindarov. Now, the Chess Gurukul team with Pragg, Pranesh, Arvind, Karthikeyan, Rakshita, and Vishrut is like a family to Pragg. Meanwhile, Uzbekistan is here with their national team. You see Nodirbek Abdusatarov entering in. He's not playing on the top board. It's Sindarov. He will be playing on board 2 against Pranesh. And Sindarov entering in. He today beat Magnus Carlsen in round 9, then drew his game in round 10 against Vishy Anand, and now takes on Pragg. The last two encounters that they played against each other ended in Javokhir's favor in Cyprus during the candidates. A handshake, and it's 15 minutes plus 10 seconds increment. This is going to be a lot of fun between two of the best players in the world of chess. Sindarov opens the game with the English pawn to c4, and Pragg goes e6. Pawn to g3 played to get the bishop on this diagonal, and Pragg hits in the center with d5, bishop g2, and now d4 can be played. It's a very ambitious move. Pragg plays it. Knight comes out to f3, knight to c6, defending the pawn, and Javokhir castles. A normal way to develop here is to play knight to f6, but Pragg goes knight h6, and he intends to put his knight on f5 to bolster the d4 square. e3 played, and Pragg goes g6. He takes on d4 with the knight. Knight takes, pawn takes, and he takes with the queen. Check. This is all preparation here. Queen b3, attacking the b7 pawn, and Pragg does not even care for it. He goes bishop g7. Now he must take the pawn, but he goes knight c3. Taking here, castles would have been normal, but he goes knight c3, and this allows Pragg now to play bishop to c6 and trade and take back with the pawn. I wonder if Pragg will play this. No, he castles here, once again giving an opportunity to Javokhir to take the pawn on b7. Will Sindarov take? Because that will be like queen takes b7, rook b8, queen takes c7, rook c8. Black pieces will get really active. He goes knight e2. He attacks the queen, and his idea is to play d4, open up the bishop against the knight. Well, you can play queen b6 to trade the queens, but also possible is queen e5, attacking the knight on e2. So you can't play d4 just yet. This is hanging. Javokhir plays bishop f3, defending the knight, and now Pragg brings his knight to f5, controlling the d4 square. But Sindarov, regardless, plays his pawn to d4. Okay, what's the point? If I take here, there is knight takes, queen takes, and rook d1, and you lose the bishop. So that's why Pragg goes queen a5, and now takes on b7, rook b8, quickly played by Pragg. Is the queen trapped? No, there's only one square. It goes back to e4. And what is Pragg's compensation? He goes pawn to c5, opening up this bishop, opening up the rook. This looks really nice. Pawn takes, queen takes c5. And Javokhir now defends the pawn on b2. He hopes that he can play b3 and just have that extra pawn. But Pragg is very quick to create counterplay. He's attacking the pawn on c4. Queen d3 played. The bishop is under attack. Bishop c6. And now bishop takes, queen takes, and Sindarov, well, he's going to defend the pawn on b3 and ask Pragg to prove his compensation here. I guess the compensation lies in this bishop, knight being active, so it's a very small edge for a very small duration. Queen c2, and now this h5, h4, h3 looks like a good plan. Yes, Pragg plays the move h5, excellent move, trying to take advantage of the weakened light squares. Bishop comes to g5, and now Pragg goes f6. Yeah, a move like this does close the bishop down, but in return there will be e5, there will be central pawns running down the board. e5 played. Bishop drops back to e3, and now queen f3. He brings his knight to c3. Javokhir assesses that he can give back the pawn. He's anyway a pawn up, but with this his knight is coming into d5. That's his big edge. Pragg goes rook c8, so that knight d5, there's rook takes d5. Rook comes to d1. He takes, knight takes d1. The queen is attacked, so queen c5. Pragg just hesitating where to move his queen. He can also think about giving a check here. He goes queen d4, knight to c3, quickly played. Now Pragg down to 2.5 minutes, while Javokhir has 6 minutes. Notice knight d5, queen d5, still possible, cd5, but then the queen is defended. So knight d5 played, rook to e8 to take control of the e7 square. And Sindarov, he goes king g2, pawn to e4. Black's central pawns are strong. Rook to d2, attacking the queen. Queen jumps back. And Javokhir now in some trouble because Pragg's pawns and central pawns are just rushing down. He goes knight f4, go g5. g5, very powerful move, because g5, if knight h5, look at this, knight h5, I have f4, and these two pawns are just killer. So can Pragg play g5? It's a tough move, and he also has less time on the clock, just 2 minutes 40 seconds. But here is his chance to beat Javokhir. Goes g5, wow, plays it, and now Javokhir, he's about to take the pawn on h5, but now changes his mind because knight h5, f4, we saw these two pawns are so dangerous. He goes rook d5. A simple move is queen e7, because still if knight f5, there's e3, the e pawn is running, but he sacrifices his queen with f3, king h3. Oh my goodness, look at this. Pragg, instead of moving the queen, takes the knight, gives up the queen, gives a check, king h3, and now rook takes or bishop takes. Big question, but I must say that this was a huge risk taken by Pragg. And the risk is that now the c pawn of white is very strong. So while Pragg's idea is clear, he wants to go e3, e2, e1, Javokhir goes c5. e3 pushes, c6 pushes. What a game. If e2, c7, e1, I guess queens with a check, f2 played, so that you have a check coming in, but first a check to your king, king h7, and now the pawn is protected, so he pushes queen e2, because if he got c7, e2 is game over, f1 is coming. So queen e2, rook c5 played by Pragg, and you can't take on e3, f1 is a queen, c6 is hanging, he goes king g2, rook c1. Once again, taking the pawn is impossible because of queen, but check, king here, check, king up, check, king back, check, and turns out that there is a perpetual. Praggnanandhaa agrees to a draw there. Javokhir takes the draw. Well, I must say that Pragg really had a big chance that he missed there. He could have put Javokhir under big pressure. He almost had gotten him there, but in the end he wasn't able to make full use of his chances, and the game ended in a draw. It was very interesting. Javokhir there speaking with his coach Rustam Kazimjanov, who has a few words for him after the game. Pragg now starts looking at the game of his team members, and as it turns out, Chess Gurukul played incredibly well. Draw on board 1, but then on board 2, Pranesh struck gold by beating Nodirbek Abdusattorov, and then Arvind Chidambaram did lose to Nodirbek Yakuboyev, but Karthikeyan Murli beat Madaminov, Mukhiddin, Afruza Khamdamova beat Rakshita Ravi, but Vishrut won on the last board, which gave Chess Gurukul a 3.5, 2.5 victory over Uzbekistan, which actually is one of the best results for Chess Gurukul here. To beat a national team is something truly unique, so kudos to Pragg and his team.
Freedom begins with a choice. In 2008, we made ours. Freedom knows no borders. Step by step, we became part of the global financial system. In 2019, we went public on NASDAQ. In 2024, we built a digital ecosystem. Fintech, lifestyle, telecom, everything comes together in one unified digital space. Today, freedom is a system that shapes markets. $2 billion in annual revenue, $9.3 billion market capitalization, 11 million customers, 11,300 plus employees, 230 offices worldwide. Freedom begins with a choice, and every day we make it again. Freedom Holding Corp. One ecosystem, many possibilities.